Hey there, welcome to LSAT Demon Daily. I'm Marissa, and I'm joined by the wonderful Kevin. We are both teachers here at LSAT Demon, which you can find at lsatdemon.com. And today we have a question based on something that came in through the Ask button. So I'm going to go ahead and read it and throw it over to Kevin to hear what he has to say. So this student submitted to the Ask button this question. It says, I am beginning to doubt whether I have the ability to excel at logic games, and it may not be possible for me to get much greater than 50% of those questions correct on the test. Is it still possible to aim for a 165 plus with this in mind? What do you think, Kevin?
The first thing, there's two things going on here. One is understanding games, and the other thing is the mindset with the LSAT. And the first thing I come across is the mindset, because that was something I dealt with during my LSAT journey pretty extensively. I have testing anxiety. For those of you who may not know who I am as a teacher, there's a video about me and my LSAT journey. I encourage you to watch it because I guarantee you're experiencing some similar things to what I experienced. And I hope it helps you, basically. But anyway, with this in mind, talking about mindset, the first thing you got to think about is that the sky is the limit. You can achieve anything as long as you have that positive mindset going for you. And with the LSAT, sometimes that can be hard because you're stuck in this grind. You're stuck in, why am I not understanding this game type? Why am I not understanding this question type in LR? Why are passages hard to read? It's very easy to beat yourself up because you're not understanding things right away. And if we focus on or fixate on the scores that stem from progress, you get stuck even more in the rut of being happy with the LSAT and being happy with your progress. And I often tell my students in class and in tutoring and stuff, the score might not follow right away when you learn something new. That's totally fine. You will get that score eventually. The stuff that we're teaching you, these are hard concepts. And if you get them in class right away, that's awesome. It's just sometimes when you execute them on the test, you're not going to be perfect right away. And that's totally fine. It took me 3 years before I was happy with my score, So don't beat yourself up if you're not getting it right away. For this person who's talking about, it may not be possible for me to get much greater than 50% of those questions correct. You can get more questions correct. You just got to put more work into it. So, there's no timeline to success. You can get across the line if you keep working at it. So the thing that I would do, I guess this is related to mindset too, is just keep working at the games. And it might be hard, it might be hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but you'll get there. And, one thing that I think is also talked about a lot is with games, we say it's the easiest section to learn. It's the easiest section to improve. And that's true, but it's very easy to assign pressure to you that way if you're not getting it right away. And that's nothing against you. Games are hard. There's very few people who attempt this test in the first place, and even fewer who go on to law school. So the fact that you're doing this in the first place and trying to understand these concepts and, scoring where you are, you're doing better than a lot of other people. So take those small victories. You'll get across the line and get over that 50% of those questions correct. But you just got to keep working at it until you get across that finish line.
Yeah, I think that's great, Kevin. That level of encouragement, I think everyone just needs to be reminded of that. And I feel like we recently have talked on the podcast about, or this might've been in class, who do I tell, when I am on this study journey? I feel like it's a lot of pressure. My parents are asking me questions, my friends are asking me questions, et cetera. It's try as much as you can, know that you know what you're doing. We're here to encourage you. Some people won't understand what you're trying to do. If your timeline is different, this is another thing that I would say about this question is you're saying, I don't think it's possible for me to get more than 50% of these questions right. And in what timeline, right? If you have just started studying in July, and if that's by the August test or by the September test, maybe that is true. Right. But if we don't put ourselves in these sort of really confined timelines and get really attached to one certain outcome or whatever, then we realize that if it takes, like Kevin said, 3 years to master the games, then it takes 3 years, right? Yeah. There are 400 plus logic games out there. Do all of them if you can, right? There's so much. And the thing about logic games too, is that we do say that it's the most easily mastered section of the test. And that's because there is just we have these tools that we teach you to approach the games, right? Whether it's circle slash or web games, splitting into worlds on regular ordering and grouping games, things like that. Those things take time to learn and adopt, right? Maybe in class you get it, right? But that's with training wheels on. You take training wheels off, maybe you tip over and fall a couple times. That's totally fine, right?
Yeah.
You might also see a little bit of regression before you see progress, right? If you've been thinking about this a certain way, maybe you came to us from a different place, right? And we're teaching you something different. Then maybe you see like, okay, well, it took me 20 minutes to circle slash a game. I'm feeling discouraged, whatever. Next time you approach it, maybe it takes you, 15, next time 12, right? We're just working our way down. We're working our way through this, right? So yeah, positive mindset is everything with this test because it can really take a lot out of you. But logic games, if you decide that they are fun for you, right? If you decide to really give yourself over to this test and the situation that you're in, right? Then you'll find sort of that passion to push yourself through, push through the, learning new approaches, meeting up with other people in class, DMing, maybe setting up a little study time, right? Games are fun to study with other people because you might set it up one way, they might set it up the other way. You compare, contrast, right? But there's plenty to do to get you, to that 165 plus that you're looking for. But it does take your buy-in, right?
Yeah. No, I love how you're talking about community there too, because it's so easy to be, in live classes, it's so easy to sit in the back, have your camera off, be passive, not ask questions or whatever. If you're struggling with games or whatever it is, and you're like, I don't think I can ever get over the finish line, ask questions, whether it's to the teacher in class, whether it's to a friend, working on a game. I like how you're talking about, hey, let's compare our games. People do games differently, and that's awesome. It's just the thing people forget is like, whoa, that doesn't make any sense to me. But if you inquire about it and talk to this person about it, maybe you'll learn something that they do. And you're like, whoa, I've never thought about games that way before. And then you implement it into your own style. So there's a lot of learning to be done. And I like what you're talking about with community and sharing and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like it's so important on this journey that, not many people embark on, like you were saying. So, and also like, I guess one more thing I'll say about logic games is like for some people, and I've tried to communicate this in my classes a lot, but maybe not as much recently. It is really important also to isolate to try to understand what your issue is, right? So if you are having trouble setting up a game, then attempt the setup, stop yourself, and then watch the video explanation on LSAT Demon, watch how the teacher set it up, and then attempt the questions based on that setup, right? If you're fine with the setup and you're getting a bunch of the questions wrong, right? Use your setup, try to answer the questions, and then afterwards listen and watch how the teacher answers the questions, right? Because there can be a breakdown in multiple different places with logic games. And so I just want to encourage you to not feel like you're drowning under the weight of like a 22-minute endeavor to set up and answer questions and stuff. There are resources out there for you. So chunk it up, take your time, try to figure out what your issue is. And if you can't and you are in class, ask a teacher, right? We're here. We'll stick around after class, help you out and do what we can for you. So
even ask teachers that don't teach games on a regular basis questions. I don't teach games on a regular basis, but I know games, we're all here because we all scored really well in every section. So if you can only make LR or RC classes and you can't go to games classes, ask the teacher anyway about games. They'll be happy to help you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think we do feel comfortable standing by the idea that it is the most easily mastered because it feels the most combined, but also like everybody's different. If you learn differently, if you think differently, there are resources. Make sure you're getting your accommodations as well. But like, this is possible for you. We believe it's possible for everyone. So keep working at it.
Yeah.
Anonymous ask button person.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's all I got, but
Awesome.
I can see success here if you keep working at it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you all so much for listening today. If you email daily@lsatdemon.com if you'd like to ask us a question or share some LSAT or law school admissions news. Thanks for listening.